Have you ever been on the verge of doing something you've prayed for, worked towards, or dreamed about, and then suddenly you got scared? You started second guessing yourself. What if I fail? What if people judge me? What if I lose everything I've worked for? So you convinced yourself it wasn't the right time. You waited, you planned, you researched, you prepared. But if we're being honest, you weren't preparing, you were hiding. And I want to let you off the hook today because I think we've actually misunderstood fear. We treated fear like proof we're making the wrong decision, when in reality, it may be evidence that you're finally moving in the right direction. If you've ever felt stuck because fear convinced you to stay where you are, this conversation is for you. Because by the end of this video, I hope you'll stop asking, how do I stop being so afraid? And start asking, what is my fear trying to tell me? Hey, if we are just meeting, my name is Andrea Patrick, and I help ambitious, high-performing women like you align who they are with the life they actually want to live. Because success without alignment usually leads to stress, burnout, and feeling like you're working incredibly hard for a life that doesn't even feel like yours. Today, we're talking about fear, not eliminating it, understanding it. Because fear isn't always your enemy. Sometimes it's your greatest leadership coach. So let's dive into part one. Fear is normal, not just emotionally, biologically. Thousands of years ago, fear kept our ancestors alive. When they heard rustling in the bushes, their brains weren't wondering if it was the wind, okay? Their nervous system immediately asked, am I about to become somebody's lunch? That split-second response, what we now know today as the fight or flight response, helped humans survive for generations. Our brains became incredibly efficient at detecting danger. Here's the problem. Your brain still does that today, even though most of us aren't running from wild animals. Today's threat look a lot different. Now, your brain interprets danger as things like, what if I lose my reputation? What if they don't like me? What if I embarrass myself? What if I lose influence? What if I don't get promoted? What if my business fails? The threat changed, but your brain didn't. This means your nervous system often reacts to emotional risks the same way it reacts to physical danger. That's why your heart races before speaking on stage. That's why your palms sweat before asking for the promotion. And that's why launching your business feels terrifying. Your brain isn't saying this is impossible. It's saying this is unfamiliar. Those are two very different things. One of the reasons this happens is because of something called your Reticular Activating System, or RAS. You've heard me talk about it before. Think of it as the filter in your brain. Every second, your brain receives millions of pieces of information. The RAS decides what deserves your attention. And one of its primary jobs is protecting what is familiar, not necessarily what's best. Get that, make that clear. Just what's familiar. So if you spent years, let's say, believing, I'm not qualified, I don't speak well, I'm not leadership material, I am not entrepreneurial, your RAS will look for evidence to support those beliefs. That's why fear often gets louder right before you do something different. Your brain is trying to pull you back towards what's familiar, not what's possible. This is why I created posture protocols. Not because I think fear disappears, because I know it doesn't, all right? A posture protocol is simply your predetermined response before your emotions have the chance to make the decision for you. So instead of asking, what do I feel like doing when fear strikes? You've already decided, okay? When that fear shows up, this is who you are going to become. That's leadership, specifically self-leadership. Now, let's look at part two. Fear isn't just normal, it's necessary. I know. Nobody likes hearing that, but think about it. If nothing ever scared you, would you actually be growing? Probably not, because growth almost always lives outside of your comfort zone. And comfort, quite frankly, is where dreams quietly go to die. Fear pushes us forward. Fear stretches us. Every promotion, every new business, every difficult conversation, every healthy boundary, every leap of faith comes with uncertainty. Without that discomfort, we become stagnant, complacent, comfortable. And eventually, we stop evolving. Fear protects us. Fear also serves another purpose. It slows us down, not to stop us, but to make us look closer. Fear asks questions. Have I prepared? Have I considered the risks? Do I have a plan? These are healthy questions, okay? Ignoring fear isn't courageous. Listen to it without allowing it to become the decision maker. That is wisdom. Fear regulates us. There's another way to think about fear. Now, I've coined a phrase I use often: manage the volume of your personality. And to me, this means having the ability to read the room, to course correct your mindset, to adjust your tone, your attitude, your intentions to fit the situation that you're actually about to walk into. Fear actually helps us do that. Think about walking into a very important meeting, right? Or giving feedback, maybe having a difficult conversation. Your nervousness reminds you to slow down, choose your words, choose them carefully, listen before speaking, lead intentionally. This is emotional intelligence. Fear isn't making you weak, friend. It's reminding you to become more aware. Now, let's look at part 3. This is my favorite part. Fear is progress. I know it doesn't feel like it, I know, but think about every major milestone in your life. Your first job, your marriage, parenthood, starting a business, leading people for the first time, or buying a home, maybe moving across the country. Every meaningful chapter probably came with fear. Not because you were failing, because you were expanding. Growth stretches us, and stretching leaves evidence. I like to think of fear as emotional stretch marks. Nothing needs to be hidden here, but it's a reminder of who you had to become to get here. So every time you feel afraid and moved anyway, you became someone new. Fear creates urgency. Fear also reminds us that staying where we are has consequences too. Sometimes we become so afraid of failing, we forget to become afraid of regret. And regret is much harder to live with. Wouldn't you agree? Finally, fear has a funny way of clearing your vision. When the stakes are high, distractions have a way of disappearing. Suddenly you know what matters. You prepare differently. You pay attention differently. You become intentional because fear sharpens your focus if you stop fighting it long enough to learn from it, okay? So today, I want to give you permission. Permission to stop trying to become fearless, because fearless isn't the goal. Aligned is the goal. Prepared is the goal. Intentional is the goal. Self-awareness is the goal. Fear will probably ride in the passenger seat for the rest of your life. Just don't let it drive. The next level of your life will almost certainly require a version of you that's uncomfortable. And maybe that's exactly how you know you're headed in the right direction. So, if this message resonated with you, I think you're going to love what's next, okay? You know I'm creating a planner. We've talked about it before, and it's designed to help ambitious women stop reacting to life and start leading themselves with intention. Inside, I'm going to be teaching the concept of posture protocols, habit stacking, self-awareness, and the personal operating system that has completely changed the way I approach goals, confidence, and growth. If you'd like to be one of the first to know when it becomes available, join the notification list below, my CEO circle. And if this video helped you look at fear differently, do me a favor. Hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and share it with someone who's been sitting on a dream simply because they thought being afraid meant they weren't ready. Because sometimes being scared isn't a sign to stop. It's actually proof you're becoming. All right. Thank you again for watching. Remember, I have a new video every single Thursday. Subscribe to my channel, hit that like button, click that notification bell, leave a comment down below. I love those. It helps with my algorithm. And I'll see you again next week. Bye, guys.